Hello guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to check and adjust your valves on a lug nut type valve chain, which is what's on the Bandit 1200. It's going to apply to pretty much any type. It's like this with the little lug nut and screw on top. And I'm also going to be giving you some tips that are only specific to the Bandit 1200. I'm also going to be putting down the written instructions on how to do this, and also if you still don't get it, you can email me and I can send you the pages of the manual that go through this procedure. The first step is to take your gas tank off. As you can see, I've already done quite a bit of work just for time's sake. So what you do is remove those two 10mm bolts that go through there and through here. You also must remove your fuel valve thing with just a Phillips head, so you can get it out of there. You have to unplug your fuel level sending wire, also your venting hoses, your fuel hose. You have to get with a pair of pliers. Don't worry if a little fuel comes out. Also, you're gonna have to disconnect, if you still have it, what's called a pair valve that Suzuki has on their bikes, which is pretty much all these 5 hoses that go attached to this pair valve mechanism. While you're at it, you might as well inspect this. What you do is take off the screws and make sure there's not a lot of carbon buildup on that thing. If so, clean it up with some brake cleaning fluid. Alright, after you've done that, you're gonna have I also like to remove this ignition coil just to get more space out of there. After you've done all that, you are going to be ready to remove your valve cover, which is right here. There we go. You don't have to remove these pieces, which goes on top of that, but I do, because I don't want to remove my fairings and all that. I think it's easier to just remove this, get it out of the way. So you're going to remove, there's 14 total of these. They go all around. There's 4 of these that go in the center. And don't forget these 2, which are where the timing chain goes through. And also, do not lose these. If you do, you're going to leak oil everywhere. These go on top of these. As you can see, some of them stay stuck on there. This one came off. But yeah, don't lose these, or you're gonna be leaking oil. Alright, some things I forgot to mention. While you're removing this, watch out for these so-called Mickey Mouse seals. As you can see, one of them stuck on there. The other ones all came off. Or all 3 stuck on there and 1 stayed on the valve cover. Just make sure you don't lose these. And also when you're putting it all back home, you gotta be careful not to damage them or lose them, or you're gonna leak oil again. Also, watch out for these dowel locating pins. Oops, over there. There's one on this side and one on the opposite side of the engine over there. Alright. Alright, next step after that, according to the Suzuki manual, is to take off this side of the engine cover, so you can rotate the engine and see right here on these notches where you're going to adjust your valves. I'll go through that later, but you don't really have to do that. Just put your bike on 5th gear or whatever top gear you have and rotate it, and that'll move. It'll give you, you'll have to put a little effort on it, but it's easier than taking out this cover and risking damaging that seal and everything. So Alright, so the next step, it's going to be to move your tire until these 2 notches are either pointing both inward or both outward. When they're both facing outward, you'll be able to check intake 1, cylinder 1 intake on exhaust, cylinder 2 exhaust, and cylinder 3 intake. and when they're both facing in, you'll be able to do the ones that are left. Just if you don't really understand that part, just make sure you measure your clearances when the cam lobe is pointing away from this, not when it's touching it, or you're not gonna get the right clearances. Okay? Once again, there are the notches. They don't have to be perfectly putting in and out, but like I said, just make sure the lobes that you're measuring are pointing outward, not inward like this. You don't measure like that, or you're gonna get bad clearances. Alright? Alright, so here's how to check your valve clearances. Now I'm gonna be checking cylinder 4 intake. So the clearances for that are from 0.004 inches to 0.006. Anything really low or above that, it's out of spec, although 0.007 would still be a little acceptable. It's better to have looser valves than tighter, because you don't risk burning them or anything, they'll just be noisy. So what you do is you start with the biggest number. You start with the biggest number and keep going down to see where your clearances are. Now what you want to do is, let me zoom this out a little. Here you can see the cam lobe, it's pointing in this direction, so it's good to check. Now you don't check between the cam lobe and this follower. You check between where your screw is. I'm trying to do this without blocking your blue. And where these spring retainer is. You check in between there. So we'll grab 0.004 and put it in there. And as you can see, it's not going in, so you don't force it, because then you'll ruin your feeler gauges. But yeah, you keep doing it until you find one that feels like, almost like you're pulling a piece of paper from between like a book or something. You feel a little resistance. That's where you found your clearances. Okay? Alright, now to adjust them, Suzuki's also a pretty nifty little tool to adjust them really quick. Hold on, bus coming through. So apparently this truck's never moving, so I'm just gonna keep on doing my video. Sorry if the noise annoys you, but... So Suzuki's also a pretty nifty little tool to adjust your valves. All you really need is an 8mm socket, preferably a small one so you can get it in here, and a set of pliers. Because you're gonna be doing only like quarter or 1/8 turns, really small adjustments until you get to your clearance. So yeah, I usually do it with my finger sometimes. So I do apologize if my nails are dirty, but they do help with this. So yeah, so what you'll do is unlock your set screw right here, put it on there, unlock it. If we're going the right way, there you go. You unlock it. As you can see, no, still not unlocked. There we go. As you can see, it can now spin freely. So once it's free, I like to go to the looser end of the spectrum. If you want to go to the middle, so 0.005, that'll be fine. But they tend to go down, so they tend to go towards 0.004 over time. So you might as well adjust them to 0.006. So what you'll do is put your fill gauge right in between there. Well, first you're gonna have to unscrew this. This might take a while, so I might edit this. So here's where you need your pliers for. It's just to grab this, turn it loose. See, that just gave me a clearance. That's going in. It's actually a little too loose, so you'll tighten it, little 8 turns until you feel they're right on the spot. Now having the camera next to me makes it actually a little harder, so having less space to do this. But I'm gonna keep trying. So now it should be going to the right, so we tighten it. Remember, it's only 8 turns, not a lot. Oh, remember not to go too tight. So right there, feels just fine. It's got a little resistance, not a lot. So what you'll want to do is zoom this in just a little. There, you can see better where I'm actually measuring it. It's right there. So now that I found the clearance, what I want to do is move this by hand. Whoa, hair. I want a hair in my engine. Move it up tight till it's right about, till it's locking. Make sure you leave your feeler gauge in there so you don't go under it. Wrench on there. Tighten it up. There. And that's perfect clearance right there. Just knock it up to 7 foot-pounds and you'll be good. Alright, now for the exhaust valves, it's going to be the same thing, but the clearance says are from 0.007 to 0.009. So remember, it's better to be towards the bigger number than towards the smaller, because smaller burns valves and larger just makes noise. So you don't want to go to 0.12, just 0.9, 0.10 will be alright. Alright. Now put a schematic up here on the screen showing you which valves to adjust according to the position. I'm going this with my tripod to these notches. So as you can see here, they're both pointing inward. So you'll check certain valves, and then when they're pointing both outward, you'll check others. But I'll put the little graphic explaining which ones to do. Alright, so I'll repeat the process for all of them. I'm also going to put the clearances up here. So